All right, hey, so just wanted to go over our project and what we're thinking. So, I am a history teacher, and I was hoping to build something that I might be able to use in my classroom potentially. And I was hoping to make semi a short game, just something that could be knocked out within a single course. And so we were kind of talking about topics in history that we were all interested in, and we just followed on the California missions as the topic. And so we were thinking of ways to represent it, and we kind of started on this idea of like a virtual tour of a mission, and like thinking about what it looked like. And then we kind of moved it into like comparing the encomienda system that the Spaniards have versus how the missions talk about it. So, for example, like if you visit a mission today, talk about the Spanish history, and it'd be like, oh, look, the Native Americans, they got converted, and that's all they'd say. They wouldn't talk about the fact that the encomienda system of these missions were basically slavery, in a very literal sense, and as from first-hand accounts. And so, the idea was a comparison between the first-hand accounts of indigenous peoples, and compare that to the tours being led by the missions, and evaluate whether the mission should change their curriculum to better match the historical testimony of indigenous peoples. And so that's where we were, and then the game kind of evolved into you're back in time, you're playing as an indigenous woman, living through these different things. And where the game is right now is kind of a combination of all of these. And so I can walk you through what that is. So we built this world, 3D terrain, we built all this, and so this is the world that we're going to be working with. And yeah, so we got this model of the mission. It's 3D telegraphy, so someone went with a drone and recorded an actual mission. It's got tons of like chunks and gobbledygook all around it, so we hide those with trees, so it's not too noticeable. Yeah, and everything historically is matching up with some of the illustrations of the indigenous accounts. So we're going to have that right next to it, etc. And so the idea is that as you play, you're going to be collecting these little memories. We called them artifacts and bits of architecture. I think we kind of moved into calling them memories just to make it a little bit clearer. And there's, in the final game, going to be 10 of them hidden around the map, and it's up to the player to kind of freely explore them and try to find all of them. And when you find them, you will be taken to a mini game where you'll experience what that artifact meant to the specific people. So, like if you're over here and you see the pan for mining gold, when you collect this, you will be taken to a mini game where you're being forced to mine gold as a 5-year-old on the mission. That some real historical accounts, and we're going to move into a bunch of different those. For the sake of what we're turning in within a week and a half, we're just going to really flesh out one of these mini game experiences, and besides that, we're just going to leave the rest of them to a voiceover narration, which Annette is going to be recording for us. And yeah, so the items are going to be things about the indigenous life that the tours don't necessarily talk about. For example, how the men and women were separated, and how the Spaniards took all the children. Mothers weren't allowed to interact with their children. The work hours, things like that. The mass graves of like just the sheer quantity of indigenous people that are buried underneath these sites, and contrast that to like the 10 tombstones that the missions show, etc. And so how this works is that you're going to be starting out in a tutorial area. We'll build that over here. And you're going to be interacting with the memory of this woman, Toyparina, who's a real historical figure. And Toyparina is going to show you what life was like for her people and herself at this time. And as you learn more about this, you'll be asked to evaluate what Toyparina is telling you, contrast it against what the missions are telling you through guided tours. And then at the end, you find out that Toyparina is actually the organized leader of the Battle of San Gabriel, where the indigenous peoples burned down the Spaniard missions. And with that in mind, in the design doc, we're going to talk about how you participate in that rebellion. We're not going to actually program that. That's a little too difficult for what we're doing. So in terms, I hear that you're going to be taking the role of an artist. So the first thing that we'd be doing is we'd be like asking for a, hey, 1 second. Sorry, my dog takes advantage of the fact that I'm talking to my computer. Um, so we'd like a picture of Toypurina that we can show in the tutorial phase. What we do is we'd have the voice of Toypurina right here, and research says that people connect more with voices when they can see a face attached to it, at least initially. And so we'd like a custom illustration of Toypurina to pop up as Annette is talking. You can find murals of what she look like. We'd like something original though. Toypurina, just so you can see. Yeah, so these are some murals all around of her and what she might have looked like. So yeah, something custom would be great. That we'd also like a main menu illustration as well as a pause menu illustration. Annette can talk to you about what the pause illustration would have to look like. But in terms of main menu, something involving Toypurina and a mission, really just up to you, freeform. Can't go wrong. So we need illustration for both those. In addition, we need some illustrations to fit in to here because there's a lot of like opaque shapes. We can't add too many more 3D models just because we're kind of maxing out what a reasonable computer can run. But some of these are just very noticeable. Like for example, this is the red Taro housing, and it's just white. It's just not believable. So what we can have you do is we can let's see if I can get back to 1 second. I'm just gonna enter the game. Where's the mouse? I don't know what's up with my instance of Unity, but we would ask that we get basically a two-dimensional image of what the side of Spaniard housing would look like in Spanish architecture that we can stretch along this. That'd be very helpful. And we just put that on a two-dimensional plane and overlay it against that. That'd be very helpful, and that'd help out, and we can pretty much reuse that a couple different times. It'd be nice to have illustration of like a texture of a wall, just so we can replace this, because this is 3D scanned in and it's kind of cruddy. If we can replace this with a wall that we built ourselves with some type of bricks and Spanish architecture, that'd be helpful. What else are we missing? I think that's it in terms of what I can say. You'd have to ask for Annette for the rest of it, but I think that's what we'd really need help with in terms of an animator. And so let me show you how we're collaborating. When someone's done, what you would do is, I'm going to exit this just because my instance of Unity is being weird. So once you're done, you would hit save, etc., and then you'd go into the folder where you keep it. So for me, that is right here. Yeah, and so is this it? No, it's here. Okay, so once you're done, once you're done with whatever edits you're making, you would take the folder, and then you drag it into Google Doc. I will supply the Google Doc link, and here in the Google Drive link, and this is our Google Drive. We have this is a note that Fernanda made recently. This is her design document. She's taking the lead on the design document. This is a meeting that we had where we had notes. These are some voice lines that Annette recorded. I've been handling a lot of the programming, so this is the build that I made. So whenever you're done adding to the build, what you do is you create a new folder. And then you say who edited it. I'm just going to say Steven. And then once you have that, you would literally just drag the entire project in. It'd probably take like 10 minutes to do. I'm not going to do it right now just because I don't have anything to add right now. But you do that, it'd probably take like 10 minutes to upload. Take a while, but it's what we got. Then when someone else is going to add something, they'd look at the most recent version, and then they would download it, make any changes that they were going to make, and then add to it as well. One other thing is that we found out that you can build something on Unity on one project and then drag the assets from one project to another. Let's see if I can show you that. that's a little difficult to explain without visuals. Um, so first you want to do is we're using 2019.4.18f. Make sure you're using that Unity version. If you upgrade or change the version, the whole thing's going to fall apart. All right, and then I'll open this one. This other one's nothing. So if you want to transfer something from one project to another, once this loads. Oh, so while this is loading, the reason why we can do this is so that you can start building something within Unity on your own, and then when you're ready to upload or ready to add to the final project, you'd be able to. It's still loading. Okay, great. So once you have it, you'd open them side by side, and then what you do is you take something. So I'm just gonna create an empty one, and then you drag it into the asset folder of the next one. One second, let me make sure it's working. Do I have the right versions? 19.1. Oh, there we go. So you drag it from the assets into the assets. I believe you should still be able to drag from the hierarchy into the asset folder. Annette did that yesterday. So see if you can do that. That was working. For some reason, it's not working now. So a lot of good this demonstration is doing. But at the very least, what you can do is create your object, save it within the assets, then move it from one asset folder into another. Then once you have that, you can drag it into where you need it. Yeah, I don't know why this isn't working. It doesn't matter. But and so the point being that you'd be able to build something in a new project, Unity, and add it to what we have. Yeah, so what I'm going to be working on tonight is I'm going to be building a tombstone of Toyparina, and that's going to turn into the image that we're going to trust you to build. It's a bit of a two-dimensional image that we can show while, and that's delivering voice lines as Toyparina. If you want to see what those voice lines are going to be, check out this document right here within the Google folder. Fernanda wrote a script, and I have some voice lines as well, which are at the bottom of here, which is just some historical context as well. So just read through all this, and you should be caught up. Yeah, so I'm going to be adding a tombstone, and we're going to be building the programming that would allow for the image to pop up, and then we're going to try to figure out a quiz that the player can take at the end of all the learning that they're doing. But that's kind of where we're at. That's kind of what we're doing. Just a heads up, I'm going to be out of town the next from Wednesday until Sunday, and so I'm trying to get as much of the programming done as possible now, while I'm still able to be at a computer and participate in this way. But hopefully that clears up a little bit. Just if that was confusing, just a quick overview. You're going to be put into a three-dimensional world. Hopefully it will actually take me there. Good. Okay, so we're in the gameplay now. And so the gameplay is going to be exploring this 3D world, collecting these little orbs, which are going to be located at different artifacts. And so you're going to actually collect the artifact, and these artifacts are memories, and when you collect one of them, you'll be taken to a mini game that explains the importance of it. We're going to do that with one of them, and then for the other 9, because there's going to be 10 in total, we're just going to have Annette deliver a voice line of what it means, and so you'll hear a voice line of them. And yeah, the game is to collect all of them, and this allows you to not only explore a place, but hear the importance of different things that you're looking for, and yeah, understand it a little bit more deeply. And so, one last thing that we need some help with in terms of the art design is there's a lot of these like things I can't get rid of, these little 3D, I don't know, piece of garbage left over from the telography. And so we can't delete these without a substantial amount of work, but we can cover them up with things. And so it'd be nice if you can help me find some 3D models to fill them in that fit it naturally into a mission aesthetic. Some of them are okay, like if they're around the edge, because it looks like, oh, there's rocks, like it's a cliffside, which works out well because it does take place on the coast. But some of these, like for example this that's kind of spewing out, if we could get a hay bale or something that goes over it, then that'd be helpful. We probably don't need it for these rocks on the outset, but like, when it makes the wall not look like a wall, etc. Things like that, it'd be helpful to find some 3D models with very low polygon count that we can fill with. Once again, we can't have too many more polygons. We're already filling up. For example, the stable looks great, but what's hiding is this huge, garbledy, like, 3D monstrosity that I had to cover. So we just gotta finish covering some of those up. Yeah, hopefully that cleared some things up and you have a general idea of what we're doing. Yeah, and we'll let you know when we're meeting again. All right. Stop recording.